We all know the most safe way to send a text message when you're in a car, especially during these dark and rainy conditions, is to pull over to a side street or a parking lot. The question is, do we follow our own advice?
I see so many people when they're driving, sitting at the light a lot of times texting.
You know, they go slow. Sometimes they're just speeding in and out of traffic.
The other day I was driving down the road and I looked over and I saw the driver, 2 hands, doing her makeup.
We've all seen the classic signs of an inattentive driver.
Sometimes it's just irritating.
When I'm in the car, it's scary.
One of the biggest offenders on the roads today, those who text behind the wheel.
Do I ever do that?
I believe I'm pretty attentive.
Admittedly, I have.
Whether you do or you don't, it affects us all.
It certainly can be a life and death situation. You know, if you're not paying attention to the road, you're paying attention to your phone. And you're oftentimes looking down, your peripheral vision is obscured.
And that means you won't see cars, bikers, or pedestrians from either direction.
You wouldn't necessarily know unless you were next to them.
The problem is traffic officers like Lisa Rennie have trouble catching people in the act. So far, Wausau police have only cited 13 drivers since the 2010 law went into effect for explicitly texting while driving. But it's usually after a crash has already occurred, and even then,
they're not necessarily going to admit to, you know, hitting the guy in front of them because they were busy texting on their phone.
4 little letters. That's what killed her.
Now a new TV campaign from AT&T is hoping when the law isn't enough,
And I guess she just looked away for too long.
their message stops your message from sending.
There's so many different scenarios where you could be looking down at your phone to send a text message or just to read a text message, or dialing your phone, and it really have some really, really bad repercussions.
And those tickets for texting while driving can range from $100 up to several $100s depending on the severity of the offense. And as you saw in that AT&T commercial, the biggest incentive not to text and drive is to not harm or kill someone or yourself. So the best thing to do is when you're in the car, put the phone away, out of sight. Jeff and Amy.
Madeline Anderson, good advice, live in Wausau. Thank you.
Wisconsin does have something called the inattentive driver law. It allows officers to pull someone who isn't paying attention to the road over. That can include texting, changing the radio, eating, putting on makeup, or doing anything that's distracting. Wausau police have issued a number of those citations over the last 5 years. Between 2010 and 2011, they went from 83 to 120. So far this year, officers have written 69 inattentive driving tickets.